What if I told you that Beyoncé, yes, the queen herself, nearly lost control of everything because of a single comment made by Kelly Rowland? This isn't your typical celebrity gossip. It's a rare glimpse into a moment that no one could have anticipated. What exactly did Kelly say? How did Beyoncé respond? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of her most tightly guarded secrets? You won't believe how this all unfolded. Beyoncé has built her empire on flawless performances, a picture-perfect image, and an impenetrable sense of privacy. But what happens when one of her closest friends dares to speak out? Recently, Kelly Rowland made some remarks about Jay-Z that sent a wave of shock through Beyoncé's entire inner circle. Today, we're going deep, exposing the chain of events that followed, along with insider accounts, private reactions, and details you won't find anywhere else. From subtle behind-the-scenes tension to unexpected confrontation, this story reveals a version of Beyoncé that the world almost never sees. By the time this video ends, you'll understand why fans can't stop talking about this and how it could change everything for one of the world's most powerful couples. So stay tuned because things are about to get very interesting. It all started quietly, almost unnoticed by the public. During an interview, Kelly Rowland spoke about the old dynamics within Destiny's Child and her current relationship with Jay-Z. On the surface, her comments seemed light-hearted, even nostalgic, but according to insiders, Beyoncé didn't take them lightly. Every word carried weight. Kelly's remarks hinted at a closeness or connection with Jay-Z that Beyoncé reportedly saw as crossing an invisible line. Imagine this, a woman who's built her life on control, precision, and perfect image suddenly faced with words that shake her personal and professional balance. Those closest to Beyoncé claimed they noticed small but telling changes in her behavior right after the interview. Her usual calm, collected energy seemed disrupted, and soon whispers began within her inner circle about growing tension and discomfort. The real intensity of this moment comes from its context. Beyoncé has always guarded her family and her marriage like sacred territory. Even playful comments or rumors about Jay-Z have been known to hit a nerve. To outsiders, Kelly's words might have seemed harmless, but to Beyoncé, they crossed a line. Insiders say that during private discussions afterward, the atmosphere turned icy. The room reportedly fell silent, and Beyoncé demanded explanations that only deepened the underlying unease. But here's the part they don't want you to know. This wasn't just a momentary outburst. It sparked a ripple effect that went far beyond that one interview. Private confrontations followed, along with quiet yet deliberate decisions that few outside their circle will ever hear about. The aftermath of Kelly's remarks didn't just strain friendships and influence future collaborations, social interactions, and even public appearances. While Beyoncé never made a public statement about it, insiders say that behind the scenes, the queen was anything but calm. Sources describe a string of private meetings, intense phone calls, and strategically planned conversations, all meant to manage what she saw as a direct challenge to her personal world. Every glance, every movement analyzed, each exchange carefully weighed. Beyoncé, known for her unwavering precision and control, treated this moment no differently. According to sources close to the situation, she began by consulting her most trusted advisors, her management team, and a few long-standing friends to assess the true impact of Kelly's remarks. She wasn't just interested in what Kelly had said, but also how those words might be interpreted by fans, the media, and even her own family. Every possible reaction was examined. This wasn't simply about wounded pride, it was about preserving the image she spent decades constructing. So rather than confronting Kelly publicly, the queen chose a far more strategic path. Beyoncé decided to handle the narrative behind closed doors. Insiders say she reached out to Kelly privately, initiating a series of carefully worded and deliberate conversations aimed at clarifying intent without igniting a media firestorm. These talks, reportedly tense and filled with silence, hesitation, and subtle power dynamics, reflected just how delicate the situation had become. Observers described Beyoncé's response as methodical. She didn't lash out impulsively, but she made certain that her message was clear. Yet the aftermath was more complicated than anyone expected. The situation began to quietly divide friends and collaborators, subtly shifting the energy within Destiny's Child's extended circle and beyond. Even casual meets, group gatherings, And backstage moments became thick with unspoken tension. Some insiders compared the atmosphere to a movie scene. Every gaze, every word charged with meaning, everyone waiting to see what would happen next. It was clear this was more than a personal reaction. It was a strategic effort to protect her authority and safeguard the sanctity of her private life, but here's the twist that left many stunned. Sources claim Beyoncé took additional precautionary steps that reached deep into her professional world. Decisions were reportedly made about upcoming projects, media appearances, and interviews, all with one goal in mind: to prevent any narrative from spinning out of control. Every action was calculated, every emotion contained. Even those closest to her sensed a shift, a quiet but unmistakable change in energy that revealed just how seriously Beyoncé guards against any form of disruption. And yet, the story didn't stop there. What made things even more intriguing was how traces of this private turmoil began to seep into the public eye, though most fans didn't recognize it at first. Slight gestures, subtle online activity, and even cryptic song lyrics started taking on new interpretations. Hinting at unresolved emotions Beyoncé preferred to manage in silence. This is where things get truly fascinating. In the next chapter, we'll dig into those hidden signals, the coded posts, the mysterious interactions, and insider testimonies that uncover how deeply this incident rippled through Beyoncé's world and the lives connected to it. Even though Beyoncé handled everything quietly, the public still caught glimpses of something shifting beneath the surface. Fans began to notice the smallest details: a forced smile in a candid photo, a thoughtful pause during an interview, or a moment of distance during group interactions. For those who knew how to read between the lines, each sign whispered the same truth: something in Beyoncé's world had changed. Social media became a major force in magnifying this growing tension. Fans began analyzing everything from Beyoncé's Instagram posts to cryptic lyrics in her new songs that seemed to mirror the entire situation. One particular post, now widely debated, showed Beyoncé looking calm yet pensive in what appeared to be a casual setting, though it carried an unmistakable air of symbolism and intent. Observers quickly pointed out that the caption hinted at loyalty, trust, and personal boundaries, core themes that directly aligned with the rumors surrounding Kelly Rowland's earlier remarks. It wasn't open confrontation, but rather subtle communication meant for those observant enough to catch the message. What made it even more intriguing was the timing. Suddenly, Beyoncé's every appearance and release seemed to hold layered meanings. Each performance, each outfit, and every carefully penned lyric was dissected for clues. Fans began breaking down verses line by line, searching for traces of betrayal, trust, and emotional distance that could connect to Jay-Z, Kelly Rowland, or even others in her close circle. Online forums lit up with theories and speculation. What began as a private misunderstanding between Beyoncé and Kelly had now evolved into a worldwide conversation, powered by small hints and insider whispers. Insiders claimed that even members of Destiny's Child's extended team could feel the tension. Meetings, recording sessions, and collaborations became noticeably quieter and more intentional, with everyone aware of the fragile atmosphere. Those who had worked closely with Beyoncé for years reportedly noticed a sharper edge to her focus, a new kind of guarded vigilance that extended not just to her team, but also to her family and acquaintances. Some described it as a protective shield, not born from anger, but from an intense determination to defend the sanctity of her personal world. Even Jay-Z wasn't untouched by the ripple effect. Sources say he found himself in a delicate balancing act, standing by Beyoncé's side while also navigating the unintended fallout from comments he never saw coming. Reports suggest that behind closed doors, their conversations grew more serious and strategic, underscoring how deeply they both value control, privacy, and the preservation of their image. This wasn't just celebrity drama, it was about control, communication, and safeguarding a legacy. But here's what most people missed. Beyoncé's real response wasn't loud or emotional. It was quietly transformative. Instead of lashing out or fueling public tension, she turned the entire situation into a moment of reflection, subtly redefining how she interacted with those around her and how she set boundaries within her circle. Every move she made afterward reflected her trademark: precision, calm, calculated, and forward-thinking. The cryptic posts, the subtle performances, the perfectly timed appearances, none of it was random. It was all part of a deliberate plan to preserve her peace and protect what truly mattered. And still, the story didn't stop there. Despite all her careful maneuvering, small fractures began to show. Not everyone stayed in sync. In the next chapter, we'll explore how these growing tensions led to quiet confrontations, shifting loyalties, and unexpected alliances, the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that most fans never witnessed, because behind the polished image, the flawless music, and the glamorous facade, even Beyoncé's world isn't without complexity. Insiders reveal that Kelly Rowland's comments set off a chain of subtle conflicts and changing dynamics among Beyoncé's closest allies, longtime collaborators, friends, and even family members, revealing a side of her life that's rarely, if ever, seen in public. Those who stayed aligned with Beyoncé's vision found themselves gaining her trust more than ever, while others had to move cautiously, learning to respect boundaries that had suddenly become far more defined. Professionally, every decision she made reflected her deep need for control. Upcoming collaborations, projects, and public appearances were quietly restructured to avoid any room for misinterpretation or controversy. Sources reveal that Beyoncé grew increasingly selective about interviews, public outings, and even her online presence. Every single detail from her lyrics to her wardrobe was deliberately crafted to project strength, empowerment, and awareness. Nothing was left to chance. Interestingly, the entire episode also seemed to influence her artistic direction. Insiders and close observers noticed that some of her more recent performances and music videos carried subtle but powerful themes of loyalty, trust, and personal boundaries. To casual fans, these might seem abstract or artistic choices, but for those paying closer attention, the messaging was unmistakably intentional. This was Beyoncé operating at her most strategic, turning potential controversy into art, transforming private tension into creative expression, and asserting her dominance without ever directly addressing the issue in public. Even her relationship with Jay-Z was affected, albeit quietly. While the two have always maintained a united front, insiders claim this incident sparked deeper, more personal conversations between them about communication, loyalty, and mutual respect. Those talks, rather than dividing them, reportedly strengthened their bond and reaffirmed the trust that anchors their partnership. In a world where every move is examined under a microscope, what could have become an enduring source of strain instead evolved into an opportunity to fortify their relationship. Another ripple effect appeared in how the public perceived Beyoncé. Fans and the media began connecting subtle dots, reading into her expressions, analyzing her focus, and noting the calculated timing of her appearances. Without saying a single word, Beyoncé projected resilience, control, and unshakable self-respect. Her silence became her power. It turned into a masterclass in how to handle controversy without letting it define you, without losing command of your narrative, and without allowing private matters to spill into the public. But the most surprising and long-lasting consequence of all was how this incident reshaped her internal ecosystem, extending far beyond Kelly Rowland. Those who once operated freely now found themselves under closer observation. Studio sessions, rehearsals, and meetings took on a more structured, watchful tone. Every action, every gesture, every comment was assessed for potential ripple effects. This environment of vigilance highlighted Beyoncé's unmatched discipline and her forward-thinking approach to leadership and brand protection. Still, despite her efforts, small cracks inevitably appeared, as they do in any human network. Subtle disagreements, minor misunderstandings, and quiet frustrations became part of the complex fabric surrounding her. Yet even then, Beyoncé remained composed and deliberate, handling challenges behind the scenes, resolving conflicts privately, and never letting disorder reach the public sphere. There were no scandals, no confrontations, only quiet, precise management. The long-term takeaway is unmistakable. Beyoncé's handling of this situation was a masterclass in strategy, composure, and emotional intelligence. What seemed like a trivial spark to outsiders actually revealed the incredible extent of her foresight. One simple comment had far-reaching consequences, shaping relationships, influencing art, and reframing public perception. For fans and observers, it offered something rare: a brief, revealing glimpse into the meticulously calculated world of one of entertainment's most powerful and enigmatic figures.